Hello everybody and welcome to a game called Sailaway, and basically it's a simulator for sailing. Kind of simple, but yeah. So, we are going to run through the tutorial series and see where it takes us. We're going to start there. You can steer and operate with A and D. You can look around by clicking and dragging. I don't really want that map right now. Page up down to look through, or you can use this guy. Cycle through. It's kind of pretty. It's called My Boat. I mean, yeah. It's one way. I do want to change the skill level. Cool. You can set your options in gameplay. Main menu, you can find other tutorials, accept a challenge, join a race, or accept an invitation from another person. That's it. Let's go to steering the boat. Oh boy. Oh god. I didn't like this one. Basically, it's turning for me. And you can't look at anything. This is probably the worst tutorial that I've seen. So yeah, now it's in irons because they set it up for it. The idea is to steer a little bit away, like 45 degrees, that way we're out of irons. Yeah. And we steer all the way away between 90 and 150. I go almost 180. I believe this is a jive. Feeling downwind. Oh, boats sail the slowest when it's directly behind. Interesting. So it's a jib when it swaps with a huge amount, and it's a jive when it goes in the front, nice and kind of easy. You can ease it over. And a jib, it's going to smack you in the head. Pretty hard. So look out. Watch how the boat keeps steering. Oh, the sun. Okay, I get that you're steering in a full circle, but could we do it a little quicker? Thank you. Now you try and steer further. 45 the other way. Okay, I went too far. This is a terrible view. TWA needs to be 45 degrees. I just overshot it a bit. Cool. Tacking is the opposite of jibbing. Now let's go over the sail types. So we need to switch to a bigger boat. Okay. Strong wind is small sails, light winds, big sails. Surprise. Feeble breeze to a mighty storm as it heels over the boat. Currently it's white, so we've got the Genoa up and the mainsail. And then if it goes way over, they are going to... It's kind of a better one. We're heeled way over. Not the best position to be in. And that'll actually slow you down. Make it hard to steer. So we can pull in the reef sail, drop it just a little bit, tighten this up, make our sail a little smaller. We can also go from the Genoa to the jib, which is the smaller green sail. Then if it goes even more, like they just did, then we can pull in number 2, reef number 2. And then if we need even more, we can pull in reef number 3, and we can switch from a jib to a number 4 sail, which we don't have, so we just have to pull in the jib. Then we can put up this Gennaker, which is similar to a spinnaker, but it's basically a giant sail. So all the foresails in the front, Jenniker, Genoa, jib, number 4, and then we've got the mainsail in the back. Planning voyages. Let's see how we plan them in this game. Oh boy. You can set up a voyage with waypoints to guide your boat. Current voyage always exists on the map and is shown in the yellow line. Let's set up a new voyage from Casablanca to New York. That is quite the journey there. You can see it on the map that we've placed a voyage starting triangle for you at Casablanca. Drag the voyage end square to near New York, so you have to zoom out to do this. Where's New York? Right down here? It's not that far. Should be up here-ish. Is there a way to see? The maps are not really lining up here. It shouldn't be New York. It's Canada. Good old Canada. New York should be here-ish. Need to zoom out to do this. Okay, I've got a similar map picture as the example. There's Florida, there's the jet out. That's kind of the one I'm looking for, ain't it? No, the map is different. So jet's up there. That's there, so New York is right about here. Okay. Casablanca to New York. Now let's say we want to pop in on somewhere else on the way. You'll need to add waypoints. So the waypoint, click and drag the circle from the yellow line down to the Canary Islands. Here, down to the Canaries. To the waypoint, just drag it back so it's straight again. Cool. Let's look at navigation. First, let's teleport to the start. Click on the map near Casablanca. Notice an aeroplane appears. Yes. Press teleport button to drop the boat there. Teleport. Okay. As you sail along, I'll turn to show you. It's not quite too heavy. Definitely got to put the Jennifer out. GPS point will tell you the uncompleted. Yeah, we need some work on those. The trim. Here's our waypoint. Between waypoint is 300 miles. 300 for the destination. Cool. A few useful things on the top. Help you follow a voyage. So click this. It's an offline setup. Auto navigation to maintain this angle of wind. Auto navigation to sail the laid out track. Stop sailing. Okay. First, set your boat currently sailing to a specific place, but the wind may change, not suited to your current trim. Second, let your boat maintain the current angle to the wind, which maintains trim settings but may cause you to move off course. So if you get optimal trim, I guess that could be good. What's BTW? Best trailing wind? I don't know. There's for the boat to automatically do it. This only works when you're offline and may be banned in some challenges and races. Not surprised. Final button weighs anchor. So automatically turns your boat to the wind, so it's easier to put your sails back up. You can only raise the mainsail when facing into the wind, not surprising. You can invite other people to sail with you. Let's go to the naming of lines. Pretty sure most of the lines are sheets. Oh boy. It's assumed in this tutorial that you already know the names of the various types of sails. We do. Best to run sail types if you don't know. So they're actually modifying it. Pretend we've got somebody else online. They're on with us. And the purpose is going to be covered somewhere else. Let's minimize this because we don't care. The halyard. Everything starts with the line that's used to raise the sail, which is the halyard that raises the mainsail. So you can kind of see. It goes up and over. Runs through a block on the top of the mast and pulls the sail up. Multiple halyards. Since the boat often has more than one sail, it also has more than one halyard. So we've got one for the Genoa, Spinnaker, etc. I don't think you have one line for every one of those. Normally you switch between them, I think. Not 100% sure, but I think. There's also the furler. So that basically just spins it up so that all you have to do is pull it down. Genoa furl, so that's the one that tightens or loosens it. A sheet is simply used to raise the sails. If we'd simply raise the sails with the halyard, they would be uselessly flapping in the wind. So we have an extra line that pulls it taut, and that's called the sheet. There's a lot of sheets. Those six over here and the 6 over here, those are all sheets. They control everything. The outhaul is the bottom of the mainsail attached to the boom. There's a line that pulls the bottom of the sail tight towards the back of the boom. So that's a little connector right here to right there. And then you've got this guy that just basically, that's your sheet that pulls that guy, pulls the boom. The vang, bottom of the mast to the boom, runs a diagonal line that pulls the boom downward. See if we can get a better view over here. That one. So that pulls it down to the deck. There's a little clip there that holds it, but this kind of keeps tension. So that's the vang. Mainsail often has a line that pulls the bottom corner. We're going the wrong way. Ooh, I like that. Whoa. That's a serious Genoa. The one that I have has a jib. It definitely doesn't have a Genoa. So, it pulls that. It does have a spinnaker, though. So we'll see. The one that pulls that down is the Cunningham. There's a Traveler, which is the point on the main sheet where the block is mounted to the boat. We're going to have to swap back to the other view. That is this little guy. Normally it runs all the way across. Nope, there it is. This little bar that goes all the way across. It's on a rail that can be pulled towards the wind side of the boat, indicated by the Traveler. The lead car, the Genoa sheet or jib, runs from the sail to a point on the boat. That point is attached. The point is again attached on a rail. So it's actually up. I think we can see it best out here. It's that little car right there. This little guy right there. So that can move forward and backwards. Normally you have to furl and unfurl it. But you can move it forward and backwards to capture the wind the best. You will normally attach on this side. So this is attached to the boat there. And you move this forward and back to try and get this wind the best. So that's the Genoa lead car or a jib lead car. The backstay basically holds up the mast. From the mast to the back of the boat, that little guy right there. And hopefully that's all of them, but if you don't remember, yeah. How sails work. Wow, this game's actually really thorough in the tutorials. I was having some issues trying to do challenges, but early sails used to be sail or square, which only catch wind when it's directly into it. Not too surprising. Modern sails are very triangular. The image below is of a sail Viewed from above, note it's curved, so it's a 3-point sail instead of a basically parallel top and bottom. They work much more like an airplane wing, and they bend the airflow. It's kind of neat. The force pushes it. It's always pointed roughly 90 degrees away from the sail. Unfortunately, the direction of this force is not the same as the direction of the boat. Correct. Propulsion and drift. It pushes the boat forwards, but also sideways, which will cause drift. Minimizing drift, we want to move forward, not sideways, so the boat's shaped in a way that it easily moves forward, but is not pushing sideways. But pushing it sideways is a lot harder. Okay. This probably has something to do with the keel. Against the wind, modern sailboat can easily sail up to 40-45 degrees against the wind because the sideways wind component of the force is compensated as much as possible, and the forward component remains. So basically, the pushing of the sail compared to the keel, which is also aerodynamically shaped for it, kind of causes it to... Best analogy I've seen is that it pinches it kind of like you would an ice cube. So you're pushing inwards, but the ice cube still tends to shoot out straight forward if you've got just a smidgen offset on your pressure and it squirts out forward. That's all. Let's do apparent wind. Anyways, against the wind... Yeah, no wind, beautiful day. Boat is dead in the water. That's a problem. We don't have an engine, but let's suppose the boat would have one. You start the engine, boat starts moving forward with respect to the sea and the air. Feels like wind, but it's not wind. Simulator wind. Induced wind? Probably induced wind. Speed of the boat, even though it appears there is none. The self-created wind is apparent wind. That's due to the speed of the boat. So if the wind's coming from 90 degrees to the side, the true direction of 90 degrees and the 10 knot speed, you can check in the navigational window, so it actually ends up being 30 instead of 90. Interesting. True wind angle and assumed wind angle. Boat starts moving, it produces its own wind again, but this wind is added to the true wind, which is still coming from the side. Together they form a wind that seems to be slightly more front. Well, yeah, we've got two winds. Yep, there's the two needles. So it's coming from 60, but it feels like it's coming from about 35. 34. Coming from 53, feels like 34. The true wind's 90, parent is 50. You guys are on the wrong numbers, but yeah. Now check what happened to the wind speed. The true speed is still 10, but the apparent is 12. Kinda. We're going faster, but yes. The sails we feel in our face, and also the wind the sail experiences. This is why some super boats can sail faster than true wind, because they don't sail on true wind, they sail on the apparent wind. That's neat and kind of weird. So you can actually get your speed faster than the wind speed. That's cool. So the apparent wind direction changes gradually the faster we go. When the boat speed is 0, the apparent wind direction is equal to the true wind direction. Adjusting the sails, this means that the person who controls the angle of the sails to match apparent wind has an important task. The sheets have to be pulled gradually as the boat picks up speed and the angle of the apparent wind changes. We went too many. How do I go back? It double-clicked. Boat does not move much anymore, and the apparent wind direction is roughly 90 degrees, because we've got 10 wind? I don't know what you guys are talking about, but... Alright, I'm going to turn it a little bit to get this back up to 90. Show the sheets gradually pulled as the boat picks up speed. That's it. Okay. Telltales. These are super, super important from the YouTube videos I've seen. Anyways, so you're pulling in the main vang. This is the one that's back here. No, that's up there. Okay, so the sail is less poofed out, I guess. So we have to pull the bottom down as the sail straightens out, and then as the sail curves more, we have to let this out just a little bit so that it can actually do that curve. Okay. The performance of sail is optimal when it's functioning like an airplane wing. To tight and it creates the vacuum at the back, and too loose and it creates a vacuum on the front. Same as an airplane wing. The air is invisible so we can't see, but we can look at the tailtails, which are those little guys. They're right here. There's a couple more on the sail. One there, there's a couple up higher, etc. They visualize the airflow. Pull sheet. When the tailtails are on the side of the sail, the windward side and flapping, it means you need to pull in a bit of sheet. When the tailtails on the opposing side are flapping, it means you need to ease it out. So if you've ever seen those airplane videos where they're demonstrating stalls and they put a whole bunch of strings on the wing, and right before a stall, you'll see some of them start to come up, and then you'll see them all just go nuts. Same kind of thing. The idea is that we're trying to get the tailtail directly in line with the wind. Way off is when both of them are going. Yeah, I can see that. That would do it. A good helmsman also uses the tailtails to steer the boat, especially upwind where there's little room to adjust the sail angle. So when you're driving single, I guess, or sailing on your own, you probably want to be doing that. So when it's too little on the inside, on the windward side, you want to bear away from it. Jeez, you're doing some weird sailing, guys. But you want to bear away from it, that way the wind instead of hitting and kind of spinning, it will hit and catch it just a little bit more. So it'll slide off of it instead of violently hit it. Steer upwards, the exact opposite. Hopefully that makes sense. Curve depth. Alright, so when the wind passes along the sail, it's bent along the shape of the sail. This is what propels the boat. Yep. The further you bend the wind, the greater the force of the sail and the faster the boat will go. But there are limits. You can start getting delamination along it. Finding optimum, you can adjust to the point where the airflow almost releases. You get super close and you adjust it about there. A little bit of wind, more curve. Of course, you need more force. It takes longer for the air to travel from the front to the back, so there's more time to alter the path. Therefore, the sail can be curved quite deep. With strong wind, you have to have much less curve, because there's less time for the air to curve, so it can cause vortices. Way too much. And at some point, it simply gets too much wind, starts to heel over too much, and too much heel will slow the boat down tremendously because it's not designed to go sideways. It's designed to heel over a little bit, not a ton. Less power, more speed. So instead of always trying to make the curve as deep as possible, at some point you want to make it less curvy, and you'll get more speed from the available wind. It's more comfortable as well as faster. Going upwind makes it more flat, so the apparent wind angle is really small. The sail will be at the front. Okay, downwind is an exception to the rule. You basically want it like a parachute, and you want to make it gigantic the deeper the curve is. So instead of having it smoothly go along, we basically want it to hit it, and it's going to act like those square sails. That's it. Curve position. I wish they actually let me adjust the sails to really get an example of this. But anyways, wing shape. We all know the shape of an airplane wing. It's round at the front and the thickest part and about a third of the way in. Sorry, the thickest part's about a third of the way in, and it's thin at the back. This aerodynamic shape causes the least drag. On a sailboat, we don't want any drag either, so we want to make the curve about a third of the way back. However, in light winds, we want as much power, so we want more curve up at the front. Okay, could see that. In light winds, the depth of the curve in as deep as we can manage. So it'll cause a little bit of vortices, but it'll also pull in that wind and give us just a little bit more. So, nope, had that backwards. So if we put it later, instead of having the vortices, it'll smoothly curve around and follow, and we'll get that laminar airflow. So laminar airflow is key to sailing, from what I can tell. I'm going to have to do it. Strong winds, you want to reduce pressure. Downwind, you want as much as you can, but if you get too much wind, you can actually destroy your sails. So, there's that. Light winds curve centered, strong winds curve forward, upwind curve forward, downwind curve centered. Okay. It's not an absolute science. Top of the sail. So the boom angle. Sail, we tend to look at the angle of the boom to judge the sail angle to the wind. But that works only for the bottom part, whereas the large piece of cloth high in the mast is just as important. Yes. We gotta trim that too. First off, the force on the top. Half of the sail has much more effect on the heel than the wind blowing on the top. Oh, good God. That would have knocked you out. The sail's kind of luffing a bit. You guys aren't doing very good at this. And that's almost a 90-degree wind. You guys... I mean, I guess it's a lot of work, but they're not doing great at this. Anyways, simply because the side force is amplified higher up to the mast, therefore it's got more effect on heel. Say heel's not an issue, and we just want to use the sail as efficient as possible. You'd think the sail angle at the top, sail angle at the bottom would need to be the same. There's no real way to do it because it twists. So if true wind's 4 knots coming at 90 degrees, the boat sails at 2 knots. This means the apparent wind angle is 60. Wind higher up is almost always stronger than lower down. At the level of the bottom, the sail's true wind may only be 3 knots to 3 to 5 or even 6 at the top. Well, that's neat. Change the effect wind angle, so ease the top out, which I think we would need to do the vance, something like that. On the back, that'll give us a little bit more all the way on. You kind of get the luffing. I don't like the luffing. We need to fix that. That bothers me. Effects also strongest in light winds. Open the top in light winds, close the top in strong winds, open the top on a tight reach, which is when you're really close to, so if the wind's coming straight ahead, as you close that pie and you start heading almost directly dead wind, about 30-40 degrees, in a tight reach, you want to have it very open so that it's grabbing the most, and then close it when you're going upwind. To reduce the heel, you basically need to tighten that. Well, you can ease out the top, which will grab less, it'll have more vortices, etc. That'll stop the heeling a little bit, or else you can just pile people on the other side. Welcome to racing. Open in light winds, closed in moderate, and strong, open in strong. Looking at wind angle, this should be with the top of the sail. Half open on a broad reach, or going 90 degrees and going downwind, half open as well. Okay. Controlling the depth of the sail. Sail's attached on the mast or forestays one side. If you pull the other end, it tightens it, makes it more flat. Out haul. The mainsail, this means pulling the line at the end of the boom backwards, tightening up the sail, making it a lot more rigid. The vang, to prevent the back of the sail from bending outwards due to the pressure, thus flattening the sail, you'll need to put some downward tension on the line by pulling the vang, or easing the traveler. Sail cut. Sailmakers give their sail a curved front. If you force that in a straight mast, the sail becomes horizontally curved. Interesting. Most boats have a mast that can bend a little, and if you pull on the backstay, the mast slightly bends to hit the curve on the front, and the sail becomes more flat. Interesting. Foresail sheet. The foresail is a little harder. Pulling the sheet tight to make the sail more flat will also adjust the angle of the sail. It all depends on the angle in which the sail is pulled. A force that points backwards will flatten the sail, whereas pulling inwards will affect the angle of the sail. Yes. So if you pull it towards the mast, it will curve more, but if you pull it backwards, it will flatten it out. The lead car, that's kind of why you push it up and down. That way you can have that curve, and then you can stretch it out, pull forward backwards, and also get it inwards so that it's tight in the way you need it. Touch the steel wire in the forestay. Give it some slack, it'll become more curves. Halyard in the backstay. It's controlled by the halyard tension. So that's definitely a problem. If you click and hold, it will actually go through options. So that's bad. When you take a piece of cloth between two hands, pull on it, it'll stretch in one direction. You see these long folds appear. But this is not what one would expect. Where does the extra material come from to make these folds? Weird things that the fabric needs to be pulled. Other areas, yep. So when you pull on a sail, when you pull hard at the top and the front, the vertical direction, it tends to move towards that pull, so it'll kind of shrink inwards. And it'll create a little bit more flail in there, a little more bend. Room at the front and less further back. In other words, the curve of the sail moves forward. Trigger this effect on the mainsail, you pull the Cunningham. Deepest part of the sail will move forward towards the mast. So you want to do that in a heavy wind, not in a light wind. You want to loosen that to move it more midways if you're in a light wind. So you pull on the halyard to bend it backwards, which will adjust the long angle, which will move it more forward, but it also flattens the sail a little bit. Okay, last one, open and closing the top. So if you pull the main, or if you need to pull the boom down, it's the vang. You'll pull the vang down. The vang pulls the boom down. That does it in the front. So letting the vang do all the work will put a tremendous amount of force on the boom and on the mast. Yes. Could be a bad idea in strong winds. Then we can also adjust the sheet angle. If it goes more downwards, that'll ease the top. Then you use the traveler, you can put that left or right. Putting it out to leeward will cause the sail to be pulled more downwards and thus close to the top of the sail. So if you move it out towards the outside of the boat, then yeah. Opening or closing the top of the foresail is done by changing the angle of the sheet. When it pulls more downwards, the top closes, and when it pulls more horizontal, the top opens. Interesting. Lead car, that's up front. That'll change, but beware, moving the lead car forward will also increase the depth. Moving it back will flatten it out. So lots to it. That sounds like all the tutorials. Just didn't do a very good job. Alright, so that was all the tutorials. I'm going to call it there for now. We'll start on some challenges next time, and I'm going to learn how to flail with the ropes, or the sheets. Yeah, welcome to sailing. Anyways, thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.